PR Connections Radio.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub Recap here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And on this edition, we are going to be breaking down the most recent game between your Vegas Golden Knights. And this was a good matchup at T-Mobile Arena at the Fortress. And there is plenty to go over and discuss here on tonight's show. Go to PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media, and check out all of the brand new content and all of the shows that are on the network, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So once again, go to PRConnectionsRadio.com or go to the YouTube channel at PR Connections and subscribe and make sure that you watch all of the amazing shows that are on the platform. If you also want to go to our social media pages at Vegas Hockey Hub, we have a YouTube channel. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are everywhere at Vegas Hockey Hub. And we also have our social media as well at Ian J. Rachiele. Your host is on all social media platforms as well. And this is going to be a very good episode, as it feels like for the first time in a long time, I can sit here and say to you that this was a near perfect game for your Vegas Golden Knights. From start to finish, this was a game that you could really sit here and analyze as one of the best performances the Golden Knights have had all year. And honestly, one of the best performances we have seen from Vegas over the last couple of weeks. And before we get really into that, and before we really break down the great performance that your Vegas Golden Knights did, let's get into the pregame notes. As it was determined that Jack Eichel has undergone lower back surgery and he will be out for your Vegas Golden Knights. So unfortunately, the situation where he crashed into the boards against Boston has come back more negative than it should have been. So for Jack Eichel to undergo lower back surgery for your Vegas Golden Knights, and when it's said that he is going to be out, speculation is going to be a couple of weeks, maybe a month at the most. But it just sucks. It's just really unfortunate for your Vegas Golden Knights, the fact that you have a guy who is an all-star, a superstar, someone who is the best all-around player for your Vegas Golden Knights, and for him to be out after that situation in Boston, it just really strikes you as a situation where the Vegas Golden Knights, you're not going to have your best guy, you're not going to have your number one center, and an elite sniper in the starting lineup. And since Jack Eichel is an all-star, since Jack Eichel was the representative of the Vegas Golden Knights for the 2024 NHL All-Star Game out there in Toronto, a question has popped up. The question that has been popped up for your Vegas Golden Knights is, will your Vegas Golden Knights have an all-star in 2024? Will your Vegas Golden Knights have a representative in Toronto? Are the Vegas Golden Knights going to have someone wear the sweater for Vegas at the 2024 NHL All-Star Game? Now, there are a few options, obviously, that do come to mind. The first one that does pop up is Adin Hill, because he did play a certain amount of games early in the season. He has done a fantastic job in net. He has been one of the best performances in net for the Vegas Golden Knights and in the NHL. You also have Mark Stone, the captain of the Vegas Golden Knights, a guy who really has been one of the most dynamic players and one of the most dynamic players in the NHL. So Mark Stone, he could be a possibility, really, when you stop and analyze it, what he has accomplished on the top six as a captain, as someone who has been a leader in the locker room for Vegas. And with the All-Star Game, obviously, it's a fun exhibition game. We all know that. It's going to be in the beginning of February. But what we do wonder is that, if you have a captain, could he be the All-Star Game representative? Could you replace Jack Eichel with a captain, with a leader, with someone who actually has been an All-Star before, and that is Mark Stone? Because it does seem like the Vegas Golden Knights having no All-Star would be unfortunate. It seems like unnecessary that the Golden Knights would not have an All-Star. So maybe Mark Stone could be there. I've also seen from the fan base that maybe Jonathan Marchessault could be that guy as well. 18 goals on the year, towards the first half of the season for Jonathan Marchessault. And Jonathan Marchessault has a reasonable explanation. He has been an all-star before for Vegas as well. But someone that has really been mentioning and someone that really has been breaking it down and really talked about it, maybe somebody like Alex Pietrangelo could be a guy that if the Vegas Golden Knights do have a representative go down to Toronto, Alex Pietrangelo, being the defenseman that he has, being a stern leader for Vegas and someone who has been an all-star once again, I'm just kind of coming up with and trying to talk about and break down the All-Star game, because if Jack Eichel's out, he's had lower back surgery, he's going to be gone for a while. Could it be Stone? Could it be Marchessault? Could it be Hill? Could it be Pietrangelo? There is going to be a lot of question marks there. It was also announced, thanks to Bill Foley, thanks to Jack Eichel, thanks to the social media team of the Vegas Golden Knights, there is a new member of the organization. The Vegas Golden Knights have signed Maverick to be the team dog for the Vegas Golden Knights. So kind of in a funny, uplifting moment on social media, Vegas Golden Knights have a new member of the roster, a new member of the organization. So Maverick is going to be the team dog for Vegas for the rest of the season and moving forward. Now, people do know about Marc-Andre Fleury. Obviously, everyone knew that he is someone who was a good member of the Vegas Golden Knights community. The fans loved him. I know the players liked him. There was a lot of good situations there with Marc-Andre Fleury. And unfortunately, he did pass away. The dog did pass away. So having a new member of the team, Maverick, as a team dog for the VGK. Continuing with the pregame notes, it was also announced that Isaiah Seville has been sent down to Henderson. Jonas Roundberg, he also been sent down to the AHL. He will be playing in Henderson. And the reason why this is a huge assortment of corresponding moves for the Vegas Golden Knights. Sheldon Rempel has been called up from the AHL. He will be in the NHL playing for Vegas. He had a cup of coffee a couple of games last year for Vegas, but he has been called up from the AHL. So Sheldon Rempel, he'll be playing for Vegas. And then also the announcement that Adin Hill has returned to practice. This is also going to be a situation where if you look at the Vegas Golden Knights, they're starting to get some players to come back in the practice session. And then Michael Amadio out with an injury. So if you break this down one by one, Isaiah Seville being sent down, it makes sense when you understand that Isaiah Seville has not started a game for Vegas. He has not been suiting up. He has not been in net at all. He has been a backup while Logan Thompson has been the workhorse in net. Just remind everybody that Isaiah Seville has been the backup in net the last 5 games. Even when Patara was in net for Colorado, Isaiah Seville was the backup. We essentially had the Henderson Silver Knights goaltending crew as the Vegas Golden Knights goaltenders in that game. So for Isaiah Seville, him being sent down, it's understandable when you understand that maybe Patera is going to be coming back from injury. Maybe Hill is going to be coming back from injury. Him returning to practice is a good indication of that. So if Isaiah Seville being sent down to Henderson, it just tells us that he would not be suiting up. Jonas Roundberg, him being sent down to Henderson, he is a bottom 6 forward for Vegas. He has been a consistent bottom 6 in Vegas, but a good top 6 forward in Henderson. Once again, another indication that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be getting players back. There's going to be Golden Knights players that are going to be coming back from the IR. So having a guy like Roundberg being sent down to the AHL once again, it's just a situation where with the cap situation, with waiver exempts, with players who are on 2-way contracts who could be sent up and sent down at any moment, we have seen the last 4 seasons really that Jonas Roundberg is a guy that you can send up and send down with free will for the Vegas Golden Knights. So this has nothing to do with his performance, nothing to do with anything injury related. This just simply has to do with the fact that he is one of the rare guys in the AHL that Vegas can send up and send down at free will. So round beer sent down to Henderson. Sheldon Rimple being called up from the AHL. I do want to quickly mention this. I do want to talk about this very quickly because when he played in a couple of games last year, him being on that fourth line, he was pretty solid. There was a few games last year where you could really make an argument that he was a contributing factor on that bottom six. Really solid, actually. This guy was very solid for the Vegas Golden Knights in those few situations where injuries were just really stockpiling up for Vegas last year. So him getting called up, him to be playing a few games, obviously, for Vegas. And it's going to be curious and interesting to see how he does for Vegas because you have a guy who has been a career AHLer. This is someone who's been a minor league guy for the longest time. And then he comes over to Vegas. He signs a two-year contract last offseason. So good for him being called up. Adin Hill returning to practice is a big deal. And I want to spend some time on this because Adin Hill coming back is huge for Vegas. There's no understatement that while we appreciate what Logan Thompson has done, and while we appreciate the fact that Logan Thompson has started, and this is no exaggeration, he has started 9 of the last 10 games in net for the Vegas Golden Knights. For your Vegas Golden Knights, Logan Thompson has been the Iron Man. He has been the workhorse in Vegas. And outside of Patera, who had that one game in Colorado, and then he got hurt immediately after, you essentially have had LT in net, and that's about it. So for Adin Hill, him potentially coming back, for him returning to practice at City National Arena in the morning skate, it is a huge deal for Vegas, and that is good news for that organization. And then for on the defense, we have guys who are coming back from injury as well. Obviously, we know what the defense has been looking like for Vegas over the last couple of weeks. And the defensive pairings in this game is really fascinating. Because for the defensive pairings, you have Alec Martinez and Alex Pietrangelo. That has been, for the most part, the defensive pairing one for Vegas. But you also have Caden Korzak and Braden McNabb on the same line as well. And then you have Nick Hague and you have Zach Whitecloud. But with the injuries and all the stuff that's going on for your Vegas Golden Knights, having one of their two defensemen who are hurt right now coming back to practice, coming back and being a member of the team, wearing the red jersey, trying to come back from injury, that is a good representation. That's a good move by Vegas. And then lastly, I just want to get out of the pregame notes very quickly. We got about 2 minutes left in this segment. Michael Amadio being out with an injury. Michael Amadio, very unfortunate. He was not out there for morning skate. He was not there during practice. So what ended up happening is that because he is out, there is going to be a huge change in the lineup. There is going to be a gap there because Michael Amadio is normally your third line winger. That is what he has been for majority of the season when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights. But when you study the box score and you examine what it has been at this point, to see someone on the third line that we have not seen yet this season, we're talking about Sheldon Rimple, of course, that's who we're talking about here. To see someone like him to be on the same line with Howden and with Bryson, that is going to be interesting because of Amadio being out. And then lastly, Logan Thompson being in net. Once again, I did mention this before with the Adin Hill segment, but when it comes to Logan Thompson, this is game number 4 that he has started in a row. And he has done a really solid job. They beat Boston in overtime. They beat Nashville a couple of days ago. So in this matchup that we have at T-Mobile Arena, for Logan Thompson to be in net once again, to be the steady rock that Vegas needs is a huge deal. And for Logan Thompson, I say that he has really been one of the MVPs for Vegas this year. Obviously, Jonathan Marchessault, Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, guys who are in the all-star conversation, Adin Hill to begin the year. But the stretch of time that Logan Thompson has been in net because of injuries to Adin Hill and because of injuries to Patara, So once again, in net is Logan Thompson. And I do want to go over the lineup for the Rangers and Golden Knights game. So on line one, you have Ivan Barbashev, Jonathan Marchessault, but a new line mate at center, and that's Nick Waugh. So Nick Waugh will be getting first-line center action. On the second line, you have Dorofeev, Stevenson, and then you have your captain. On the third line, you have Bryson, Howden, and Rempel. So you have Rempel, Howden, and Bryson. And then on the fourth line, which was a bit surprising, you have Paul Cotter, Byron Froese, and Keegan Kolesar. Once again, just really talking about the William Carrier injury, him being out on the fourth line. But for Paul Cotter to kind of go from being a middle six forward, a second line winger to kind of begin the year, now he is on the fourth line now with Byron Froese and with Keegan Kolesar. Very shocking in that situation there. So that was the lines in this game. Now getting into the action itself, because that's what we're breaking down here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And with the penalties, the first 5 or 6 minutes, there wasn't a lot of action. There's maybe a few shots that just missed the mark there. But with 8 minutes into the first period, you'd have your first penalty of the game as Byron Froese would have a hooking penalty against Eric Gustafsson. So the Rangers would be on the power play. Your Golden Knights would be on the penalty kill for the first time in this game. And your Vegas Golden Knights would have a very solid penalty kill in this game, as Vegas Golden Knights would kill this off and go 1-for-1 on the power play to open up this game. And then a few minutes later, halfway into the first period, Jonathan Marchessault with his 19th goal of the season, assisted by Nick Hague and Nick Waugh. So you have the two Nicks assisting Jonathan Marchessault to make this a 1-0 game for the Vegas Golden Knights. And what an incredible season this has been for Jonathan Marchessault. This is a guy who everyone loves in Vegas. He is a fan favorite. He is beloved by the VGK. But for Jonathan Marchessault to really be on a tear this season, him alongside Jack Eichel have been your goal scorers this season. But Jonathan Marchessault, he is having an incredible pace this season. And hey, who knows? Maybe by the end of the year, he will surpass William Karlsson if he continues the pace that he has right now. But it's a little bit too early to say there. But yeah, Jonathan Marchessault, assisted by Nick Hague and Nick Waugh, and to make it a 1-0 game for the VGK and for the Vegas Golden Knights. And I do need to mention that the setup by Hague on this play was a nice touch, and I like what Marchessault did to make it a 1-0 game. And then a few minutes later, the Vegas Golden Knights, that first line would get back on the board once again, as only about 4 minutes later, Ivan Barbashev with his 10th goal of the season, assisted by Jonathan Marchessault and Nick Waugh to make it a 2-0 game for your Vegas Golden Knights. And Ivan Barbashev has really stepped it up over the last couple of weeks. I know that we kind of complained in Vegas Hockey Hub Recap over the first month of Ivan Barbashev. I did it. I know some of the broadcasters did it. I know Vegas Golden Knights Twitter definitely did. But over the last couple of weeks, Ivan Barbashev has really taken off as a player. He's been a good guy to pass the puck around. He has helped out with Marchessault, with Eichel. So really solid job here. And the first forward line on this team, the top line, getting both goals to start out the game and make it a 2-0 situation for the Vegas Golden Knights. And you know what? We got to mention it. A great start by Vegas. This is probably one of the best starts we have seen in a while by your Golden Knights. The fact that they had 2 goals in the to start out the first period, that was a solid job by the Golden Knights. Incredible situation. I like what the Golden Knights did. And more importantly, their discipline in the first period and their discipline overall in this game has to be accounted for. Bruce Cassidy did a really solid job making sure that the Golden Knights stayed disciplined. They didn't take any costly penalties. They didn't make any unnecessary mistakes. This is a Vegas Golden Knights team that did really solid on the discipline side, on offense, and on defense in this game, as Vegas Golden Knights had only 3 penalties in this game. here at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And after a Adam Fox hooking penalty against Byron Froese, the Vegas Golden Knights would be on the NV Energy power play for the first time in the game with about 4 minutes left in the first period. And even though there was a good opportunity on the power play, and it was actually a really solid shot by the Vegas Golden Knights, unfortunately, they just would not capitalize on that. And the Vegas Golden Knights just did not get the puck in the back of the net. But yeah, there was a good opportunity by Pavel Dorofeev. I have to give him credit there. There was a good opportunity there. So to end the first period, Vegas would be up 2-0 in this game. Once again, great start by Vegas. I have to give all the compliments and all of the praise to the top line with Marchessault, with Waugh, and with Barbashev for connecting and executing well in the offensive zone and making it a 2-0 game for your Vegas Golden Knights in this situation. Now, getting into the second period for the Vegas Golden Knights, with about pretty much like 70% of the second period, there was a lot of skating around. There was a lot of time in the neutral zone. There was some dump and chase. I mean, the second period was kind of a slow period, kind of a empty second period for the Vegas Golden Knights in this scenario. But with about 4 minutes left in the second period, Braden Schneider would have an interference penalty against Ivan Barbashev. And because Schneider would have an interference penalty, he'd go to the box, and the Vegas Golden Knights would be on the power play for the second time in this game. And the top line, the first line, they would execute once again, as funny enough, Ivan Barbashev, who had the interference penalty called against him, Braden Schneider did interference against Ivan Barbashev. He created the power play opportunity for Vegas, and he would execute on the power play as Ivan Barbashev, with his second goal of the game, his 11th of the season, assisted by Chandler Stevenson and your captain, to make it a 3-0 game for the Vegas Golden Knights. And what an incredible situation that was. For Ivan Barbashev to take advantage of a power play and to take advantage of a penalty that he was the person that was against, that was a fantastic job by Ivan Barbashev. I like the execution on Chandler Stevenson's part. He has done pretty solid as an assist over the last couple of weeks. So Ivan Barbashev with his 11th and his second of the game, and that was a solid multi-goal game by Ivan Barbashev at T-Mobile Arena. And if you felt the energy and you felt the electricity in the air, the Vegas Golden Knights were definitely adding on to that. As you could feel the energy, the crowd was rocking. It was electrifying. It was energetic. The crowd was on its feet at T-Mobile Arena. And they would stay on their feet, as not even 1 minute later, even half a minute after the Ivan Barbashev goal, Keegan Kolesar with his third goal of the season, assisted by Brett Howden and Caden Korzak, to make it a 4-0 game for the Vegas Golden Knights. And Keegan Kolesar doesn't get enough credit. I know some people don't want to give him any amount of respect on the fourth line, but Keegan Kolesar, what an incredible job he has done on the fourth line over the last couple of years. He's an energizer bunny. You know, he's a bruiser. He's someone who really electrifies and really energizes the fourth line at times. And when it comes to Keegan Kolesar, I like what I saw from him in this game. And considering his line mates, and considering who he was supposed to be paired up with, that makes it even better considering it's not his natural line. And after a Byron Froese delay of game penalty with about half a minute left in the second period, your Vegas Golden Knights would go into the second period intermission with a 4-0 lead at the T-Mobile Arena. Now, being at the game itself and feeling the crowd was pumping, the crowd was electrifying, and the crowd was on its feet. And as they were walking around intermission, people were smiling, people were laughing. As I was going to get some food, you could tell that the fans were in a rowdy mood. The fans knew that they were going to be picking up the victory if Vegas executed for 20 more minutes. I'll talk about the third period here in a little bit. But when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, I could tell that the fan base was back. You know, this is a fan base that during this homestand has been really defining. The Boston game, that overtime win, that was a very solid crowd there. The Nashville Predators, very recently, that 4-1 win. You had the hat trick by the captain. So you had a solid crowd there. And then the crowd for the New York Rangers and Vegas Golden Knights games. You saw some people with the blue sweaters on. Obviously, we're a transient city. We know we get people from New York to come down and watch the Vegas Golden Knights. But, I will say for the Golden Knights organization, the crowd was among the best in this game. I really like what I saw from the crowd. And the fact that you also saw what the crowd did, and the fact that you had 18,100 people in attendance. And yeah, what a solid job. What a really good job. Considering that the team that they are facing are one of the best teams in their conference. They are one of the top seeds right now in the conference. That just made it so much better. Seeing the crowd reaction and feeling the audience in the crowd. Now, getting into the third period, this actually would not be a good indication for your Vegas Golden Knights, as not even 1 minute into the third period, Mika Zibanejad with his 15th goal of the season, assisted by Artemi Panarin and Chris Kreider to make it a 4-1 game. Now, obviously, I didn't expect Vegas to have a shutout. That would have been nice. But for Mika Zibanejad, 15th goal of the season, considering the success they have had, considering the success that Zibanejad and Panarin have had as a duo, and Chris Kreider himself has had some success in the NHL as well, this is a line that has done well this season, and I understand why people in New York like it. I understand why people at MSG love Zibanejad. I understand it. So overall, good game by him for getting his 15th goal of the season, assisted by Panarin and Kreider. And then, really the only two other moments you had in the Rangers and Golden Knights game, you had Chandler Stevenson had a hooking penalty against him, as Adam Fox would hook Chandler Stevenson. He would go to the box. Vegas Golden Knights would be on the power play once again, and Vegas would not execute here. So the Vegas Golden Knights, unfortunately, only went 1 for 3 on the power play, but it is what it is. And then, with about 4 minutes left in the third period, Jonathan Marchessault would get a slashing penalty, as he would end up slashing Vincent Trocheck, and he would go to the box. The Vegas Golden Knights would be on the penalty kill, not the MV Energy power play, and they would actually kill off the penalty kill. So overall, a good job by Vegas. They went 2 out of 3 on the penalty kill. They went 1 out of 3 on the power play. And then, with about 2 minutes left at T-Mobile Arena, the New York Rangers would pull the empty net, and the Vegas Golden Knights would get a freebie here, as Brett Howden would get his 5th goal of the season, and would make it a 5-1 game in this scenario. And Brett Howden, really solid worker. I mean, this is a guy who's a middle six forward right now for Vegas. I know he's been deregulated. He's been delegated to the fourth line sometimes. I get that. But Brett Howden overall has been a consistent middle six forward for Vegas. His 5th goal of the season. And just like that, your Vegas Golden Knights would pick up the victory at T-Mobile Arena, send the fans home happy. This would be the win-loss record right here. You see it on their screen. And for Vegas, this has been a good turnaround. They have won 4 of their last 6 games. And your Vegas Golden Knights going to be going up against the Pittsburgh Penguins next. And that's going to be a hard battle. That's going to be a very exciting game to watch in a couple of days. And we're going to do a Vegas Hockey Hub recap show, just like we always do. Every single game for the Vegas Golden Knights, we do a Vegas Hockey Hub recap show. And the one player that I will say is player of the game, obviously, is going to be the guy who had a 2-goal performance, a multi-goal performance for the Vegas Golden Knights, and that is Ivan Barbashev. So Ivan Barbashev, player of the game, and I will give props to Jonathan Marchessault for his performance in the top line tonight. He did a stellar job in for the Vegas Golden Knights. So the next game against Pittsburgh in a couple of days, we're going to do a Vegas Hockey Hub recap. But overall, this has been Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And until next time, continue watching hockey, go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.